My first memory of falling in love with music, I feel like it's actually like a semi-memory. I remember this, but my family tells me these stories all the time. It's actually apparently whenever we got in car rides as a family when I was like a toddler, like 2, 3 years old, my parents used to call me the Motown baby. Because apparently every time they played artists from Motown, I would get super hyped. And as soon as they turned away from like, Jackson 5, anybody who was signed with Motown, I'd start crying. So I guess they had some good music that was producing some good energy out there. So yeah, that's probably my earliest memory. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. The specific moment or artist, I guess you can say, that let me know that this is something that I wanted to do was Chris Brown. Man, like I really felt like growing up in the area I was from, being from Virginia, we didn't get highlighted enough, even though we had so many greats that came from the area. Shameless plug, shout out to Pharrell, Missy, Push, you know what I'm saying, Timbo, you know what I mean, all of them, you know what I mean, and many more, Ella Fitzgerald, I can go down that list all day. But but I felt like we didn't get our just due. And Chris Brown showed me that you can come from Virginia, you can make it out and be one of the biggest stars ever. And I felt like at that time period, back in like '06, '07, you know, I didn't really get that reaffirmation that we could do those things being from where I was from. So Breezy, man, Chris Brown. Yeah, man. Okay, the way that my upbringing shaped my sound and my approach to music was, to be honest with you, man, I'm a church kid. Y'all know the best singers come from the church, man. That's what everybody knows. If you don't know, maybe you should step into a church sometime and hear a selection. Yeah, I mean, but I'm a pastor's kid. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Derry. Um, yeah, just grew up singing in the church, and that really shaped everything. I mean, I think growing up in the church and having to sing in the choir and different things like that, you understand melodies better. You understand how to sing harmonies better, hold your own part, different things like that. So, being in the church and being in a space that is naturally musical, really nurtured my love for music and encouraged it, actually. So, yeah. Yeah. The first song that I wrote, I actually didn't record it. It was actually a rap with my cousins, man. So shout out my family, because a lot of us we're on different paths of music and the arts as a whole. But it was actually a rap, which is funny because I'm a singer songwriter. But it was a rap. It's your boy J.E. and I'm usually the one to sing, but I'm gonna sit back and kick it, try this rapping thing. Uh, I found out my rhymes are dope. You say yes, I say nope. You look to me like the Pope. Clean your mouth out, soap. That was the first song I ever wrote, and I can still remember it to this day because we had to perform it in front of family. You know what I'm saying? You know how I go when your mama be like, perform that little song, you know what I'm saying, in front of your grandma, your relatives, and different things like that. So yeah, that was my first song. That was my first song. First big break in my career was probably back in 2019. It was when I dropped the song Growing Pains. The reason why I give credit to that space and that moment in life is because, to be honest with you, I dropped Coliseum Dreams. The reception was dope, but I couldn't really tell whether people were really receiving the music because they liked the music or they just was cool with me. You know what I mean? And they thought I was cool, so they rock with the music. Growing Pains was the first time I really saw authentic growth from spaces that I had not physically touched, where people were coming up to me saying they really liked the song and the song did something for me. And it was people I didn't know. You know what I mean? So I would consider that my big break as far as just providing that real confidence, like, yo, you can do this. You can really do this. And you make music that people really like. Um, and you can have a base in that regard. So yeah, Growing Pains, man. Shout out to GP. Yeah, so the EP Growing Pains I dropped in 2019 is very interesting because I feel like a lot of people that listen to it, and if that's what you get out of it, that's dope. Listen to it and kind of take it from like a surface level. Most people, they try to attribute it to just being a breakup song, and which is interesting because I was going through a breakup at that time, right? But it was also more so a coming of age for me moment where I was in grad school. I was getting my master's degree, second year grad student. And that was the first time I think I was really getting exposed to relationships and people you used to talk to every day, different things like that. And it's like, they're just not around. And there's no animosity, there's nothing wrong with it, there's no problems, no beef. It's just life hitting people taking care of life. I was in grad school, a lot of people were in the workforce. People were getting married, they were having kids, different things like that. So I was talking about the dynamic of the pain that you feel when you have to sever those ties, whether for good or for bad, but also the growth. And that's why it's called growing pains instead of growing pains. It's like a grow. And then, I mean, I don't think the actual thing is an apostrophe, but an apostrophe so you can get the visual in pains because it's about growing in your pain. So overall, the song is about expressing just going through those dynamics of ties that you had with people that were so close. And sometimes those things separate, you know, whether it's your fault, whether it's not your fault, and also accepting the space that both of you could be, you know, come out better for it. You know, sometimes people think it has to be like, you know, I won this space, you know, you're going to regret not being around me. And it's like, nah, maybe we both needed that separation to grow. So growing in that pain and understanding that. So that's what Growing Pains was about. Dope. The hardest the hardest lesson I had to learn in the industry, I think was actually two things. So I'm not going to just say one. I think the first thing was that everyone not going to rock with you. You know, you can think that your art is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You know, you can go and listen in the car and everything like that. You like, yo, you don't hear this 5-part harmony I just dropped, this 4-part harmony I just dropped. You don't hear this counter melody I just put together. You know what I mean? And people don't care. They're like, oh, I didn't really like it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so you have to realize that. Also, the second thing is that even when it comes to those around you that are close, you have to yourself be confident in your decision making and what you think you should and should not do. Because at the end of the day, you're the person that has to live with whatever the ramifications or just whatever the result is, good or bad, that comes from your actions or what you decide to do. So you have to make sure that at the end of the day, you have to have some final say, if not the final say, in everything that you do, because you're going to have to deal with everything that comes out of it. So, yeah. Yeah, I actually struggle with finding my sound a lot, to be honest with you, because I think sometimes like to find parallels, you know, in sports, because, you know, most of us in music do it, you know, that are sports fans. It's like the last person to know an athlete can't do something is himself. And I think the reason why I've struggled sometimes over the years to find my sound is because I feel like I can do everything, or at least want to try everything. You know what I mean? And sometimes you're like, these are the things that you do best. And you feel like you're boxing yourself in as an artist. So yes, I've struggled sometimes with finding my sound because I want to try so many different things that sometimes you don't spend the proper amount of time that you should be harnessing your talent in a specific area. R&B has definitely evolved over the years in the way that I have been authentic or remain true to myself in that space. Is just sometimes you gotta turn the music off around you, or at least not necessarily let it influence you. You gotta realize most of the time when people are putting something out, whether it's a song, visuals, whatever, it's been done. Now you're late. You know, so if you're trying to emulate, take down the same path, a journey somebody else is doing or has done, you know, you can use things as blueprints or templates, but you can't follow that exact path. So yes, R&B has evolved, but, you know, just listen to what on the inside that you want to put outward. And that's a true reflection of your art. So I think that's how you stay true. One thing about the music industry that I wish more artists know is, I mean, there's no blueprint. You know, I've spent hours on top of hours watching different artists and different companies and the ways that they've had success, when it's really just, you got to realize it's just when opportunity meets preparation. Some people say that's luck. Shout out to one of my favorite R&B artists, Lucky Day. That's why he said he has his name there, because, you know, what he believes in the space of luck. but it is really, it's just preparation and opportunity meeting. And sometimes you've been preparing your entire life and you never get your opportunity. And sometimes you have a million opportunities, but you haven't taken your time to do that preparation. So there's no blueprint, there's no template. Figure out what works best for you and your team, and y'all go along that path. That's what I wish artists knew. So with my songwriting process is actually interesting. Um, I know most artists I know either start with words and then they establish the melody, or the quicker process in which I've seen is establishing the melody and then saying I like the way this sounds and putting words over it, which is also a great exercise for songwriters. Me, I I hear them both at the same time. So all of the songs that I've ever put out and written, I've never just wrote lyrics and said, okay, well, how can I apply a melody to this? Or I've never, established a melody just humming over a beat and then putting words to it. I mean, I hear them both at the same time because and I'm realizing that that's where I get the energy from. Like if you can feel energy coming through my music when you listen to it, not just myself, but if as a listener, it comes from me hearing the melody in the specific word I'm trying to say within that melody at the same time. It's not just me having a melody and then, trying to establish some lyrics or vice versa. So yeah, it's hearing them both at the same time, actually. Yeah. Where I pull the inspiration for my music from, I pull it from not inspiration, excuse me, experience. Uh, and it's not always my experience. That's the thing as well. Sometimes I write songs from being a fly on the wall. A lot of people will. I've had instances where I've written songs and people have came up to me and they're like, yo, was this about me? Thinking that it was something that personally happened between us and them. And nah, it was one of my homies came through and they hollered at me. Oh, I was in a grocery store and I overheard somebody on the phone in an argument. And I'm like, okay, I can at least write from this type of perspective. So it definitely comes from experiences, but it just may not always be my own. When people are listening to my music, what I hope they feel, first and foremost, to be honest with you, I hope it's something. I'd rather you feel something than to feel nothing. Whether it's good or bad, I'd rather you have a feeling. But I hope that you feel my authenticity. Like I hope when you listen to my music, especially for the people who have actually had the opportunity to meet me, I hope you hear me. And you hear relatability and you can reflect on yourself and situations and different things that have happened and you can see parallels and you can see how sometimes I think we feel better when we go through things, whether it be good or bad, when we know other people are going through them as well. So hopefully you hear that in my music. The way I balance being vulnerable in storytelling in my music, to be honest with you, it's just like any regular person walking around and having a conversation. You know what you want people to know, and you know what you want people not to know. I think it's a healthy balance as a creative to be vulnerable in your music because again, you have to have that space of relatability. People have to be able to relate to you and understand that you're human just like them, and we all going through things. But also at the same time, I mean, you ain't got to let everybody know everything. If you let everybody know everything, you ain't got nothing to yourself. So I think it's important to have that balance. A song of mine that means the most to me, uh, I would say is Lady. Lady is very important to me. Lady was one of the songs. So to be honest with you, to be vulnerable and to be in that space, I have suffered, I think, a lot of imposter syndrome just in music, period. And I feel like Lady was one of those songs that really confirmed with me. And it was like, yo, you can sing, yo. And not only can you sing, but you can really sing. You can do it well. And I don't really come from a musical family, and different things like that. So, sometimes you don't really have a gauge. So Lady is one of those songs that I feel like I demonstrated my vocal ability, my range. I felt like the writing was very well. I was able to emulate certain artists that I felt like have been huge and influential to me. Yeah, Lady. And it was in 2021 where I think I was starting to kind of catch my stride in songwriting. So yeah, lady is probably the one that means the most at this moment. But it rotates. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's today. My biggest R&B influences, past and present. I'm not gonna lie, yo. This list is extensive. I'm gonna try to condense it as much as I can because I love music, R&B in particular, obviously. Uh, Breezy. I'm gonna start with Breezy. Breezy's my guy. That's who, you know what I'm saying? That's who I'm rocking out with for sure. But you got Breezy, you got Music Soul Child, you got Jill Scott, you have Lucky Day. Some people argue whether this guy's R&B or not, which I'm like, I feel you. But you got Bryson Tiller, Ty Dolla Sign is also same, kind of on some T-Pain rapper turned singer type wave. You got to mention if you're a '90s baby, you have to feel the impact of the Usher Confessions album coming out in 2004. Shoot, I think that's about it that I'm gonna condense it down to. But the list is extensive, man. I mean, R&B. We've had so many great R&B artists over the years. Because to be honest with you, especially in the past, it was really hard to be a big R&B artist and not have a lot of talent and skill. So yeah. A matter of fact, let me mention also too, Osley Brothers, Otis Redding, Teddy Pendergrass. I'm a huge fan of Marvin Gaye. Um, yeah, but that was an ode to my pops and the OGs that he put me on to. So yeah. What I think R&B means to the culture today is like a true, accurate portrayal of emotion in music. When I think it's highly popular to make music that is almost microwaved and can sometimes be deemed emotionless. I think R&B gives you a feeling that no other genre can imitate and can emulate. So R&B is just, I feel like a rush and a range of emotion that we need in music and feeling that we need in music and artistry. So yeah. How I want to contribute to the legacy of R&B music, I just want to for a lack of I want to make sure I'm not underselling the space that I'm trying to, but I want to play my part. I think R&B has a rich history as a genre, and I want to make sure that when I put in the work and efforts that I do, I want to make sure that I honor and respect R&B as a genre as a whole. That's very important, and I want to play my part in uplifting it. So I just want to continue to uplift the genre that many artists that have came before me have created and established, and do my part to continue to help it grow and continue to help lay that foundation for the artists that come after me as well. If I could collab with any artist, dead or alive, it'd be Pharrell. Pharrell Williams, man. Shout out to Pharrell. That's I'm from Hampton, Virginia. I'm from the 7-5, man. I'm from the 757. Pharrell from across the water out there on that south side. But I think Pharrell is one of the greatest music producers ever, songwriters ever. And when he gets on a track, you know it's a Pharrell track. When you hear a beat that's produced by Pharrell, you know it was produced by Pharrell. So I need that sauce. I need that space. Yeah, I mean, I need that collab with Pharrell because I would love to. That would be like a dream come true to have a Pharrell, Jon Echols collab and to see what that would sound like and to see what the meeting of our minds will be able to create. I gotta have that. So Pharrell, you see this? I need to share space. I need to share a studio with you. I don't want to do no sending stuff. We gotta be in the same space, man. I'm trying to grow with you. A moment in R&B history that I wish I could have witnessed firsthand. It was a studio session to Say Yes. I think Say Yes by Floetry is like one of like the most feeling like invoking songs that you feel when the song that dun dun dun, dun like the way it comes in, you just like, oh man, this is ooh, you know what I mean? It's dope. So I just would love to be in that session to see how they brought that song together, constructed it, composed it, so that I could have some insight myself on that, and maybe possibly apply that to my own stuff. So yeah, I definitely wish I could have been there for the Say Yes studio session. Shout out to Floetry. Shout out to Marsha Ambrose. How I see my sound evolving within the next 5 years would just be, I think, the audience seeing confidence being exuded through my sound, through my music, through my writing. But also, you're gonna hear me try some different things. You know what I mean? I'm gonna consistently challenge myself to get better, and I feel like you can only doing that by stepping out of your comfort zone. So I mean, who knows, man? You know, I've been telling my pops I'm gonna do some gospel music. You know, I could step in the pop realm. You know, I got a few bars for y'all with this hip hop. So I guess what I'm saying is I may or may not be bound completely to a genre. I'm just trying to make good music, great music. So yeah, that's where I can see myself evolving in 5 years. What I want my music to say about who I am as an artist is just a genuine person. I think we have a lot of people that trying to sell narratives, sell messages, be things that they're not, and try to push certain things to the forefront that may or may not be beneficial to the community and who we are. And I feel like I'm just trying to show my authenticity and show a person that's trying to follow their dreams and make sure that other people know they can do it too. If I could give advice to the next generation of R&B artists, the best advice I can give is to create, create, create. Don't bound yourself to anything. Don't be afraid to hit a wrong note trying to hit a better one. Don't be afraid to record loud when you're living with other people and you like, that didn't sound the best. Get out of your own head. Be confident, you know what I'm saying, to lean into your passion, lean into your sound, lean into yourself, and create. All right, so one thing that I wish people knew about me, well, two things actually. One thing is how much in my head that I can be when creating or during the creative process. And you know, a lot of times I struggle with self-doubt and different things like that I got to get past. I feel like it's natural, it's human. Your body, your mind trying to save you, prevent you from experiencing any hurt or pain. So getting past that. But second also is how artsy I am. You know what I mean? Like I think sometimes I walk around and I'm just in a certain space with my family, with my friends, people, and what your mind shapes is cool and whatever your default setting is. But like I like a lot of artsy music. I like a lot of stuff that may not be of the mainstream, you know what I mean? So one day that's some content that I have to put out is some of the different songs that I like and different things that may be a bit unconventional, a bit taboo. How I want to be remembered in music when it's all said and done, I want to be remembered as one of the greatest. For real though. Like somebody who created music that really did something for people, did something for the community, and did something for the culture. I want to be one of the greatest.